Good morning, good morning, good morning. You gave us a nice little soft music there a little
Yeah,
bit.
it'll put us right back to sleep.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I want to wake up a little bit. I wanted some brothers gonna work it out or something,
Yeah.
But we might get that on the outro or whatever. But good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Acclivus Hour. I'm your co-host Katrina Waddy, Public Education Director for Acclivus.
And I'm your co-host, Bomani Obedelli, Director of Community Engagement for Acclivus Inc.
And Acclivus is a nonprofit organization that looks at violence through a public health lens as we work to build safe, peaceful, economically thriving communities. And we do that by offering several free services, and that we do that by offering several free services and resources designed to create or prevent, de-escalate, and mitigate violence in five categories. I don't know if y'all made me nervous. I'm like, I normally don't stumble over this part, but we have our street outreach team that works in 11 high violence communities across Cook County, Harvey, and Champaign, Illinois. Our hospital response team works in partnership with 6 hospitals or trauma centers across the city. We have behavioral health that provides therapeutic services for victims and survivors of violence and their families. We provide technical training, workforce development, and mentoring assistance for our program participants, partnering organizations, and our staff. And through our Acclivus Reentry Services, we assist newly released and formerly incarcerated individuals with maintaining healthy lifestyles by promoting pathways to successful community reintegration and decreasing social isolation. And then through our partner initiative that's implemented with state departments and city organizations, we offer the Peacekeepers or Flatlining Violence Inspires Peace FLIP program. Acclivus also works closely with and provides funding support to numerous indigenously led sub-grantee organizations, which also contribute to curbing violence in Chicago. And we're led by Levon Stone Sr., who leverages his lived experiences in Chicago streets to promote second chances throughout the entire Acclivus organization. And you can learn more about us by visiting our website at www.acclivusinc.org. You can follow us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X or Twitter, and LinkedIn, and that's at Acclivus Inc. You can always call us at 312-766-7145. And Obadeli, we usually starts the show by acknowledging anyone who's listening, who's experienced violence, or is connected to someone who's experienced violence in any form this past week. I'm not sure if there are any incidents. I mean, the news waves are always flooded with violence. I was talking to Vine yesterday, and I was giving him the line that most news stations follow, which if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
And and so
Yeah,
there's
it's been just unfortunate that we continue to see high levels of violence. But I will point out again, I think one note that I think most people, not that it makes it any better, domestic violence is in domestic violence related deaths on the rise in our community.
Yeah.
And we really need to take a deeper dive in looking at these interpersonal relationships between spouses and relatives, and unfortunately now we're seeing more children murdering either their parents or family members. So all of this, much of the violence that you've seen, the public's not able, because the police probably don't share that much with folks, but there are cases that you've seen on TV over this week have been, interpersonal related. They have been in domestic violence and domestic violence deaths in nature. Now, we've had some unfortunate, continued, fratricide that has taken place in our community, in these interpersonal conflicts that we are attempting to walk down. But our heartfelt condolences go out to everyone who's lost a life or loved one in that space. And we pray for the families. This is tough, even when the person is shot. The restraint, the cost, the pain that puts on a family member as well. Not just someone losing a loved one, a life to death. So we continue to work, and shout out to all the people who are working in community violence interruption and working in the space of mental health. I do encourage folks. I don't know if we've given our number for mental health counseling. It is free. I urge people to call and take advantage of that. And if you, in short, before we give the number, you can call 312-766-7145, and Bianca can connect you to our behavioral health team. And we'll give the number later on. I just encourage folks, if you feel you're in that space, seek some help.
Absolutely.
And we need to have these conversations about what healthy relationships look like in this day and time. And I know we've prioritized discussing domestic violence, And I don't know how you begin to have a discussion about children murdering their parents. It's just something that we didn't, and I would say we didn't. You
Our
hear that saying,
generation.
but that our race, our culture was not necessarily, it wasn't named among us, but now it is becoming more prevalent with children, um, uh, grandsons murdering their grandmothers who get primarily are the ones that are raising them.
Granddaughters.
Granddaughters, right. So I think we just need to, we need to pray for all relationships, but also we just want to point out, I can't stress it enough. If you feel like you're overwhelmed and stressed, and you need to talk to someone, a professional, I encourage you to reach out to someone in our behavioral health shop.
And we do provide that for free, and that's 708-887-8705, 708-887-8705. I don't know why I'm tongue-tied today, but maybe because we have the filmmakers in the house, and I'm nervous or whatever. But today we're going to be talking with Johnny Savory of the Innocence Project and Tasha Mills and her son Christopher Horn, co-producers of Unheard Voices, a docuseries that looks at families and just the impact of incarceration on mothers and families. And so we invite you to join the conversation by calling the studio here at 773-591-1690.
And I also want to just add, I was going to add, just give my condolences and to the family of Chuck Boyne. It's Chuck Boyne Jr. and to his entire family. May his memories be a blessing to all that knew and loved him.
Yep. Sorry about that. Yep. Again, you can watch us live on the Acclivus Inc. Facebook page or the WVON Talk of the Nation Facebook page. And again, the studio number is 773-591-1690. But before we get into this conversation with these folks whose lived experiences really support justice for wrongfully imprisoned or families of the incarcerated, we want to quickly shout out our sponsors, and that's the UIC Social Work Policy Center, the Illinois Department of Human Services, Office of Gun Violence Prevention, our friends at the Michael Reese Health Trust Foundation, the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority, or ICJA, and the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, and the Chicago Department of Public Health. We thank each of those entities so much for their generous support that helps make this show and our work possible. So with that, we are happy to have Johnny Savory return to the show to give us an update on, I don't know if you still call it House Bill 3663 now that it's been, turned into law, but I wanted to give an update on that, and then, of course, introduce Tasha and Christopher to talk about Unheard Voices. So let's start with you, Mr. Savory. Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning, everyone in the listening area. I just want to say, before I came here, I prayed, and after listening to Obedelli and about the violence, domestic violence and stuff, it's the lack of love. And I'm taking this moment to celebrate the passing of the House Bill 3663. I want to thank the people in the House, the leadership, the membership, and in the Senate. And also, we got to give a big shout out to Governor Pritzker, because he signed the bill 2 weeks ago, I think July 14th. And not only that, I left that event and went to the Emmett Till signing. Again, it took 71 years for them to allow this to take place, but it took place. Once again, Governor Pritzker showed up and showed out in terms of acknowledging the injustice that we have suffered. See, many times the people in the legislative body do not acknowledge what we have gone through, like we some kind of robot or something. No, we are human beings who have been through so much, and we don't talk enough about our trauma. But let me celebrate this with love, because that's how we got the bill passed. As you know, right here on this show, I spoke so many times, but you never heard me say nothing negative about anybody. If we turn the table and use the power of love, that's the only way we're going to get out of this situation. And growing up in the 60s, all our music was about love. I don't care if it was James Brown or Harold Melvin and Blue Notes, Wake Up Everybody. But that type of unity and that type of atmosphere no longer exists. I don't know why. And the music industry played a big part in civil rights. But again, I want to thank those who downstate the Innocence Project across Illinois, who did a tremendous job with constantly. If you want change, you got to go and help make it. See, our people think that a lot of times we just sit up and just wait for somebody to come and make a change. Change don't happen like that. You got to get up and put in the work. What it says,
Faith without works is dead.
dead.
I was just thinking
So
that.
if we wonder why our community look a little dead,
Yeah.
it's because we rely too much on people elected to do it, when it's our job to help them do it. And that means that you have to be a constant presence in your community, in your family. What we are seeing today is the same thing that took place in slavery in some aspects, where you devalue yourself and allow other people to devalue. But once you find out you got value, then no one else in life can devalue again. And I ain't gonna hold this up
And
too
love
long.
is an
but I'm
action
saying
word too. You know,
Yes.
love is an action.
It's the
so,
most powerful action word, because their goal for me was for me to be hateful, bitter, just revengeful.
Yeah.
And if I'd have did those things, I couldn't be no father to my child. Right now, I couldn't do nothing for her, because I'd be filled with so much anger about what I went through. No, I chose love. I asked God, show me how to love. And that way, I could bring more people to me. See, when you're angry, you push people away. And I hope today that we help facilitate this unheard voices, and I want to say something about the mothers and sisters and aunts in my community. They came to my aid like no other. So now it's time for us as a family. It ain't just about mothers. It's about daddies too. It's about us as parents wanting to be better protectors of our children.
Well, listen, brother, I appreciate you. I do want to just say this, walk down one thing, because you mentioned Emmett Till, trying to draw levels of comparison. How old were you when you were taken off the streets?
I was 14 years old. I was
Same age as Emmett Till.
I was same
Charged
age
with a
as-
crime that you did not commit.
Same birthday he got.
Yeah. So happy
Oh.
belated birthday.
Yes.
Happy belated
July
birthday.
25th was my birthday
Wow.
also.
Yeah.
And
That's interesting.
I always felt that kind of strange, like it was something going on with me. And as he affected civil rights, I affected the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
Because everything that I've been through, it set precedent for other people to come home. So, you know,
With the falsely convicted.
Yes, and now I'm waiting on the governor. I did get a chance to speak with him at the Emmett Till thing. We had a wonderful conversation. I had my daughter. She was campaigning for him to run for president at 10 years old. I said, okay, baby, we'll get there. And it was a beautiful conversation. And I know that he has been an advocate to correct the injustice that's been taking place. Don't get a lot of credit for it, but I'm going to give him this credit. And I know soon he'd be then corrected my situation too that sits before him now.
And can you just real quick, and before we talk to Tasha
And that's signing off on your certificate of innocence, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And just for folks who may not know, again, that the House Bill 3663 means that now, well, I'll let you get into it.
Increased compensation. Our compensation was capped off at $236,000. No matter what time you did, but you could only get that if you served 14 years or more. Now there's no cap. It is $50,000 a year for every year of incarceration, and that would certainly take away the pain when you come home. That's something that you're supposed to initially get without any hope, without any pushback, because it takes years to wait for your civil complaint to go through. But this would help you to reacclimate yourself back, help your family. And until now, we was the most underserved people in the nation, because we have 12 states that have no compensation. So again, a shout out to the legislative body, the hard people that worked, the non-legislators, and everybody that made this possible.
Now, this is for the falsely convicted. I want to make
Yes,
sure that
this is
they're
for the wrongly convicted.
The wrongly
Yeah.
convicted. So
And-
these are people who that were never, never committed the crime, never did any other things that the state said that they did,
Exactly.
and have been incarcerated for more than 14 years.
Exactly. And the sad thing is, we read the story of Joseph, we read the story of our Lord.
Well,
what
Joseph's brothers threw him in
Yeah.
the ditch.
but I'm saying he committed no crime. But I'm talking about when the Pharaoh,
I understand.
Pharaoh
Yeah, but he
wife
still went
said
to
he
jail.
tried to rape.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he did not do that. Yeah.
people get the impression that you have to be in the wrong place. You have to be around somebody else. No, when injustice is a straight bullet, it can hit anybody that's walking out of this store. And the police, once they get you locked in on that's who they want.
That's it.
You're the target.
Wow. Well, Tasha and Chris, Christopher, you all's story is a little bit different, but tell us about. Well, introduce yourself to our listeners. Although you were on VON yesterday, so they may have already met you. But introduce yourself to the
Thank you
Acclivus
so
Hour.
much for having us. We honor that. Thank you, Katrina. We hail from New Orleans, Louisiana. My name is Tasha Mills, but I do have ties in Chicago. I have family here. I'm a talent agent. I developed Jason Mitchell. He was on The Shy. And we created Unheard Voices, A Mother's Quest for Freedom. And Unheard Voices is a 6-part documentary series that goes into the mother's journey of having a child that's incarcerated, right? Whether they're wrongly convicted or not. Everybody forgets about the mother, the aunts, and the grandmothers, and they're the ones in the visiting rooms. So we went around this country and we interviewed 25 mothers, all who wanted to speak on their children's incarceration and what that meant to them. How did they feel? How did we get here? And that was the first thing I asked them was, how did we get here? And then we went into the story.
Well, let's talk about your story, because how did you get here to even be in this position to want to talk to more mothers?
Absolutely. My son Blake, at 17, received 40 years in prison for aggravated robbery with a toy gun. No one was hurt or killed. This happened in the state of Texas. However, he should have received some time. But 40 years is such an injustice. I mean, 17 years old, you're still a baby. But what I had to ask myself on so many occasions is I can't rewrite my story. But Tasha, what did you do to contribute to this? And that's the first thing that I ask mothers. And I get a lot of pushback like, well, what did you do? Well, I can tell you I was a 17-year-old mother, uneducated, who was dating a drug dealer, allowed him to push me around, got pregnant. What can an uneducated mother do, right? So when you bring a child in this world, no dad is there involved. This is the byproduct of that. This is what you get. I have 4 boys. My 17-year-old, my Blake, who's in prison, received a 17-year-old me, right? My other kids received a 30-year-old me. And so their lives were different. Their dads were different. And what we don't realize is, I talk to I go in prisons, and I'm a best-selling author of a book called Mama, I Should Have Listened. I go in prisons, and I remember I was in Folsom State in California. They have a book club, and the guy said, I never believed in God until I read your genetics versus environmental chapter. Because my dad went to prison when I was 1. I went to prison when my daughter was 1, and my daughter paroled out of prison. And so after going on the press tour with the book, and then George Floyd killing happened, I decided I needed to do more. I needed to go out and talk to mothers who were willing to tell their stories. And that's where we are. And Christopher Horn, he came on this project with me, my 31-year-old son, as a director. We took everything that we had, we put it in this series, and here we are.
Oh, Christopher, this is your mom.
Correct. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I would just add, I was hoping that in hearing this story, there's a sister who has been just a fighter for mothers who've had children incarcerated. Sister Marielle Johnson here in Chicago. She's much older, but she's been in that movement. I can as an organizer, there have been countless of women. I'll just give you some history on Illinois. This has been the false conviction state. This state, there have been more people incarcerated and falsely accused than any other state in the country. And I would also tell you, we have felt the brunt of the criminal justice system where they're overcharging many of our young people. We had a state's attorney, Kim Fox, who tried to right the wrong of some of these harsh sentences. And unfortunately, we have a new state's attorney, a former judge, who has taken us back 20 years, going back to amplifying charges on folks overcharging, and even with this new criminal justice reform, with no bail reform, the sentences are still harsh once they've been adjudicated out. So I'll just add to you, you don't have to feel any type of slight about coming to Chicago to talk about this issue because far too many mothers and parents here have been affected by the things that you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Chris, you want to add something to this?
Well, thank you again for having us. We're incredibly grateful. My mom brought this idea to me in 2020 at the peak of the pandemic, and for me, a lot of people look at it as fighting for my brother. I think, of course, a large part of it, but for me, I decided to give my yes to my mom just as an exploration of who she is. And my brother got sentenced when I was 12 years old. For me, it was hurtful, but I didn't understand the severity of what that would look like then and also long term. So the 30, well, I was 25 at the time, but the 25 version of me versus the 12-year-old version of me, it was a more, as they say, woke, but educated version to say, like, now I get the chance to really understand as an adult who my mom is and who she was back in 2009 when my brother was incarcerated. So that's mainly why I gave my yes, and we're 6 years in, and I'm really understanding in totality. Well, I'm not even gonna say in totality. That's impossible by nature, by biological design, what my mom went through. But yeah, it's this is a journey of learning what my mom goes through and 2.3 million other mothers.
Tasha, I want to talk about this too, and Johnny, you can maybe talk about this too. When you talk about who's in the waiting room, and it's mostly the mothers, the aunties, the grandmothers, and all that. When you look at that, I was thinking about the spillover effect. So you were 12 when your brother, so now you're carting along your kids, to go to the jail, ride the hour-long ride or however long it is to get there. You gotta wait in the waiting room. I mean, I visited people in jail too before, family members and stuff too. But it's like it's a whole journey getting to the prison and making plans to take off that Saturday, and everybody gonna get in the car. How many of us can go? How many of us are allowed in at the same time? If you got a caravan of folks, two of y'all can go in at a time. And we gotta wait for you to enjoy your 2-hour visit. Now I can go and get out the car and enjoy mine. So you're there all day. So I just want to talk about kind of just that experience. And I don't know, Johnny, if how you felt about that, being the person inside, wrongfully convicted at 14, and just the fear and the uncertainty and just all the angst that, I'm sorry to make you relive all this, but just, that feeling, and then how it felt to see your grandmama, your mama, whoever come to the hospital, if they were even able to make it there.
Well, unfortunately, my grandmother passed away while I was on trial the first time, and that was traumatic. My mother passed away at 21 years old, so I never got a chance to, but my dad was my fighter.
Okay. Good.
And then my godmother, she became like Ali. She was a champion. And I didn't have a voice. I didn't know I had a voice. They were my voice, especially the women, because she galvanized the women in the community. She wasn't trying to hear what the preacher had to say, what the police had to say. She wasn't trying to hear any of that. Octavia Marie Burchett stood like I came from her womb. So that's where God come in at. He always there, but God came in and sent me to people that would be my voice until I learned how to use mine. And then once I learned how to use mine, but it's painful because one day my dad came to see me, and I walked in the visiting room area, but before I went in, we got to get searched and stuff. And the officers were sitting there laughing because I went to prison in the 70s, so we still racist at that time. And they were just laughing. I was wondering what they was laughing at. My dad was an older gentleman. He had his glasses, but he had accidentally went in the wrong washroom. And when I understood what they were laughing at, I ain't gonna tell you exactly what they, but I went and put my hands on the chair, and I told the officer, if you laugh one more time, just one more time. They took me to jail after that because they said it was threatening the officer. But when I went before the committee, and I told them what he had did, they removed the officer and they let me out.
Wow.
But I'm saying my mama came in, my godmother came in, and you know how they search you sometimes. It was too intrusive. But I always made a point to let them know, hey, I know I'm here, but I can't let you disrespect my family. So, yeah, that's where it leaves you at. And yes, painful, but and you need those visits because, partner, there ain't no other visits.
Yeah.
You know, but you make a camaraderie, a brotherhood with some. And we're not talking about gang activity. We're talking about, at the time I went to prison, had convicts in there, people that have been there 10 years or what have you. And they pushed education. They pushed just the humanity of it. You don't hear that a lot in prison, but it is. Everybody there is not just there to destroy, or they change. So you see that change when they come back out here because they got families. And I'm talking about people with second chance now. I'm not talking about, because I was in a whole nother category, but in prison, they don't give a damn about your innocence. Please forgive me. They don't care nothing about that. You have to push the narrative. And partner, I pushed it hard. And anybody that know, I never stopped, because that's what they want you to do, to stop and give up on yourself. And see, when you give up on yourself, then you lose. Can't nobody say you can bring you back from that. So you have to have the will and the love within you. See, there's some people that think that love is weak. Love is not weak. It's the most strongest force that we have. And if you rest upon it, your enemies, he said he'll make your enemies your footstool. And I'm here to tell you, he do that and a whole lot more.
But I'm glad that you talked about, even feeling like you had a voice, especially being, a teenager. And I can't even imagine. I mean, being an adult going to jail is one thing, but being a teenager and then feeling empowered enough to say, wait a minute, you're not gonna laugh at my daddy like that. You're not gonna disrespect my mom like that. My grandma, whoever the people are coming to see you. That's interesting. And Tasha, how did you feel? What's your perspective of that, going to visit your son in jail, taking your younger children with you and all that? What was that experience?
Well, it's crazy now because, I used to cry all the time. And Texas is really huge. It's the biggest state. So it seemed like they always put him like 20 hours away from where I was, where I had to drive in from New Orleans. So if I didn't have the money to fly for all of us, I would be the only one that would go. And then once you get out the airport, you're driving for another 2 hours. So it's also a financial toll on the family, right? But my 28-year-old, I remember, he's 28 now. He was 10 when Blake first went in. And when those doors would lock, those gates, it would give him this anxiety. And still today he would say, Mom, that's why I really don't like to go. Because it's like I feel confined. They're checking you. And I had to tell one lady one time, listen, you don't have to pat me down like that. That's not cool. And so now my voice really is strong when I go there, They get sick. My son, appendix burst.
Wow.
Right? I threatened the warden. He retired 2 years later. I'm like, oh no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. My son was slumped over for 2 weeks, and you tell him he's full of crap, go back to his cell. Oh no, we're not going to do this unless you want a civil rights lawsuit on your hands. So they allowed me to come in and see my son. But if it's me, if it's not my husband, myself, and my 3 kids, nobody else visits. His daddy, he was living with his dad when this crime happened. And in 17 years, his dad hasn't seen him one time. And he lives in the state of Texas.
Wow. You brought up a good point, or a lot of good points here, but that financial part, I had never thought about that. I'm used to, just taking a gas, filling up the tank or whatever and going, but I hadn't thought about when it's in a different state, you got to figure out do you drive there, where you're going to stay, do you have family around there, and I hadn't thought about that.
And you got to think, you have to bring, in Texas, you bring $50 worth of quarters, right? That's all you can bring, and Blake eats that up. Because $50 worth of quarters went away.
Wait, let's back up. $50 worth of quarters.
$50 worth of quarters.
Because everything
and a sealed Ziploc bag.
We have to understand that honey bun is probably $5.
Right.
But they only take it in quarters. They won't let you bring
take it in
singles.
Quarters. You have to bring quarters.
That's crazy. $50 in quarters.
Yes. And Blake eats that
Well,
up.
and by the way, that's an overcharge, right? And I think so. Again, I think people should pay attention to this because we fought here in Illinois. So, to the gouging of prisoners, it used to be a case when they called home collect. The phone calls were $5 a minute. You know, so we have through advocacy work and the change of public policy here. I'm just giving you some points that maybe you can get with some folks in Texas and to change the laws there. I think that's ridiculous. I mean, just the fact that you got to take $50 in quarters, but the fact that the cost of, and I don't know what it costs for a phone call there.
$2.30, I believe, for a 30-minute call.
Oh, yo, lucky.
Yeah.
It used to be for, man, it might have been worse than $5. I think when they first put the system in, couldn't call home because it was too expensive. $10 a minute, $20 a minute.
Wow.
You paying for the system itself, and then you paying for the salary.
Yeah.
So they found ways to just exploit what
Families.
was going on. Yes.
Families.
So once again, you may have to drive that 20, but most of our prisons is downstate.
Yeah.
Most of the people that went to them, they upstate. So you talking about if you drive them to Menard, you talking about 7-8 hours, right? Then when you get down there, you don't even know if you can see your child.
Oh, that
Because
happened to me.
they'll
several
say,
What do you
times.
mean?
the joint locked down.
Wow.
Or they'll say, well, we disciplined his unit. They'd be like, but I just came all the way down. I'm sorry, you can't. Now you got to go all the way back with nothing.
I remember paying $500 for a plane ticket, renting a car, 2 hours, and I was single at this time, 2 hours, and he said, no, you can't come in. He has an infraction.
Yeah, yes.
It was at the Smith unit in Lamesa, Texas. I
Not done.
finally talked to someone, and they allowed me to go in. But I had to look at my son behind a glass. I couldn't hug him. It was just, so this is why we do this work. This is why this work is so important to us.
Yeah.
Because, you know, one of the mothers in our documentary, she died. And so her son has no family, no family. And he has life in prison in New York City. So we have to listen to his phone calls, you know, as he cries.
And to something happened here. It happened many years ago. It was a Million Man March. Everybody remember it?
Yeah.
It was a promise made that was never kept. The clergy promised to adopt families
Interesting.
and see them through. Did not happen. Today, most churches have what you got, prison outreach, right? Now, you think that's bad. There's absolutely no programs for the innocent. We have a $100 million program for Second Chance. Now, when I say no, I mean no. No, nothing. You leave out, and you pray to God you got some family. But if you done did, today, if you done did 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, first of all, you don't really know your family no more. So when I came home, I chose to go to the Episcopal Church. They had a program. It's the model for the country called St. Leonard's Place. Because I didn't want to go try to live with my family because I didn't know them. The main ones was gone. 2 sisters, dad, grandmama, they gone. So now you got cousins and stuff, and me, I don't know y'all. And I didn't want to be no burden.
Yeah, and to your point too,
That's
they,
another
they
thing.
don't know you, and again, you're coming in, and you're being treated as, you're still just being treated as an ex-con, but
Yes.
really that's not really your
No.
accurate title because you're exonerated from the charges, but the world and the city, you know, the place everybody sees you as, oh, you're an ex-con, you just got out of jail.
But
They don't get into, oh, but he was acquitted of his charge. No, but you're an ex-con.
See, I was built a little different though. I ain't care nothing about that because I went into job training. I worked 2 or 3 jobs. I wasn't thinking about the people because I always had my attorneys always vouch for me. So that made it easy
Okay.
for me to get in and work. And I never looked back.
And thank goodness for that. Somebody's making a brand bar about you talking to civil rights attorneys in the state of Texas and New Orleans regarding correction officers and standard operating procedure when it comes to searching visitors, because that can also be a form of gender and sexual violence. So just something when you get a chance to look at the comments. Did you want to comment a little bit, Christopher, about just the whole visiting?
Yeah, thank
and
you so much. And I think we can't lose sight of what the foundation is of mass incarceration. Its sole purpose is to break down and ultimately kill and destroy the black family dynamic. Of course, everybody else is collateral damage. They're like, put their white people in prison, they're just collateral damage. But the purpose and the goal is to break us down, be it not having innocence projects, be it us only being limited to actually $50 a quarter. Somebody may think that's a lot, but we're talking about lunch, breakfast, and dinner possibly.
And how often can they have the $50 in quarters? I mean,
Once a
daily
visit.
or
Yeah, every when we visit. But I said that to say it's not just the trauma. We'll be exploring this documentary, and what you see in real time, you actually see us having a bucket of quarters, and we're like, darn it, we didn't. Oh, we should have stopped and got more. Well, if we stop and get more, there's probably traffic. We're late to his visit, so he only gets maybe 1 hour opposed to 2 hours. Anything to break down the support and the communication with.
Yeah, I mean, just the irony, the cost of even purchasing quarters. I mean, you have to. I mean, it
You
may
have to
be
stop at a
insignificant,
laundromat.
That's
you
a
know,
big
you
thing.
Can I paint that picture for our audience?
Yeah.
Yes.
We have to stop at a laundromat.
Not even a currency exchange or a bank, because it might be Saturday by the time you get there.
Yeah,
but okay.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Miss Katrina. It's a Saturday, so no banks are open. So you're looking for a local laundromat. And God, we pray that the money exchange thing works. When you put in the 20, it's not jammed and it comes out in quarters. And if it is, now we lose 20 more minutes because we're in a rural area, so we're looking for another laundromat that's possible. Like, these are the nuances when people say, well, he did the crime, he does the time. Like, you don't understand the dynamic, in totality, why they created these prison systems to break us down in full. Because if we say, God forbid, me and my mom say, oh, I'm tired, this is too much, let's just go back home. Then my brother doesn't see us. God forbid that breaks him down even more. He has an argument with an inmate.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going?
Yeah,
Boom,
That's a
5
whole-
more years. That it's by design.
Yeah.
And the painful thing of the design that you're mentioning is that we don't hold our own people accountable. See, you can't leave that out the documentary. See, that got to be, no. When I look at around, and I got this concept because I used to work for Reverend Jackson Sr. And people say, man, you ain't doing nothing. So I used to just turn to some people, what are you doing? What are you doing? If you got time to sit down and judge somebody else, let me see your body at work. See, the one thing they cannot take from me is my body at work. See? And I'm indiscriminate with that because we got many people in our community that don't do the work either. So that makes, if we want respect, we have to learn one thing. We have to learn how to respect one another. When you respect each other, I guarantee you any other culture around it. How come we only good during wartime? I bet you they love us during wartime. Ask Europe. Ask who liberated Europe. Ask who helped defeat the Germans. When the planes was going down, who did they have to stop that? Who do we call them? You had the black infantry and pilots who never lost a plane. Do you understand what I'm saying? When it's come time for the Olympics, who do they want in the Olympics? Look at every country now in the Olympics. Every one of them got somebody look like us. So it's more about how we treat each other than the system that was set up to defeat us.
Let me, before we lose track of this, because look, again, the hour goes by so quick. I want to make sure, Johnny, everybody knows how to reach out to you. What's next for the Innocence Project now that the bill has been signed into law? And how can people support you, contact you?
Yes. Well, the next thing for me is to give my daughter the best life she can have. And that means I want to get her ready for private school. I'm hoping that the governor signs my paperwork, and I believe that he will. I don't have no doubt, just whenever the time is right, I'd say it's always God's timing, so it'll be perfect. But my daughter is everything. Me, I'm cool.
How did
She 10.
10,
10 going on 100 because it's not easy being a single parent, but she is so home person. It means something to have a dad and a mother.
Absolutely.
If you're missing either one of them, it's an imbalance there. And they have got us to the point where we separate two. Now we have mothers talking about they their father, but you can't be that. All you can be is a mother. You still need a man to bring in and get nurtured. See, we have a nurturing spirit also. And I don't want that to get lost, but you can contact me through, my phone number is 630 222-6687, and call me, leave a text message. So, because I don't recognize your number, because I don't know who you is that's going to call. So you're going to flood me. But remember this here, my priority is my daughter first. Then I'll help you. But I got one motto. If you don't help somebody else, I'm not helping you.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line.
I think, and I want to get you all's information too, but I know, sometimes you have to make yourself a committee of one, and, I say this all the time, and I've been inspired by Obadeli too, just, I want the legacy to be left at my funeral, like, man, how many people did Katrina give a ride to? How many people did Katrina give support or whatever? And Mr. Watts just connected me with a young lady who needed some items, some personal items and some money. She getting started on a new job. And so just those little one things,
Right.
it's like, and I don't say that to brag about that, but it's just looking for opportunities to when sometimes you're sitting at church and you can see somebody crying and like, you know what, I don't know, God is telling me, let me try to see what I can do to help this person
Yes.
out or whatever. And so I just think if people can look at it like that, sometimes it might not be on a big grand scale. It might just be these little one-offs that you can do just individually, just solely, but that nobody even has to know about, so, yeah. And so I want to hear about, for the documentary, I know you all are here for the film festival, what's going on with that and what's next?
And where can we find this documentary?
Yes.
Well, actually, right now, that's the purpose of the film festival circuit, for us to get exposure and ultimately get distribution so the masses can see it. I almost get emotional looking at Mr. Johnny here, because this is what we show, the mother's trauma, but then what does the life look like after? We have a story, Miss April, her son has come home, and you would think that would be a celebratory thing. It should be like rejoiceful. Everyone, this is exciting. But there's a life that happens outside of that can be just as daunting, or if not more, than when he was incarcerated. So we explore that, but again, that's why we're pushing for distribution so the masses can see this and join us on this movement for change. But you can visit us at unheardproductions.com.
Unheardproductions.com?
Yes, ma'am, unheardproductions.com. And our Instagram is Unheard Productions, at Unheard Productions. And just follow us for more and stay updated. We tell these stories throughout,
Can we see the film this weekend in Chicago? That's what I want to know.
Yes.
Where?
And it's free. So if you have any kids, bring them out, because they need to see what happens to mothers, the panic attacks. They need to see the cries. They need to see you wanting to kill yourself when your child goes to prison, because that's what happened to me. I took every pill in my medicine cabinet. And not only that, I was going through a divorce. My mom had just died. And the ambulance driver brings me to the same room my mother died in at 51 years old. And so people need to see how this affects the parents. And Mr. Johnny, I'm going to say something to you. I always get pushback when I say a woman cannot raise a man. But a woman cannot raise a man. There needs to be two parents in a household, right? And that was the difference with Blake and my other three kids. They had their dad.
Right.
Blake didn't.
Yeah.
And I can only nurture him so much and give so much. And sometimes a single parent overcompensates because that father isn't there. So that's another thing that we do wrong. Instead of that discipline, we're overcompensating
Yeah, yeah.
because that man isn't in the home.
Right.
So you know what? You saying your daughter is your first priority? Thank you for that. Thank you for that. But you can see the film this weekend. It starts at 10 a.m. at Cantini Park. That's at 151 Winfield Road in Wheaton, Illinois. It starts at 10. It ends at 5. Our film shows at 1 o'clock today. Tomorrow, same place. Our film shows at noon, but it's free to the public. All you have to do is pay for your parking.
And
That's
give
it.
give this address again.
Sure. It's 151 Winfield Road. It's Wheaton, Illinois. And the name of the person who's given this is Andrew Tyler. He also served 10 years in prison. So this is a social.
151 Winfield Road. I'm sorry to cut you off. I want to
That's
make sure that the Canfield, is it Canfield Park?
Cantini.
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 Cantigny. Cantini Park, 151 Winfield Road, Wheaton, Illinois. And you can call me if you just want to come and, talk to me about anything, because we're on this fight.
Do you
This
want
fight
to
is
share
real.
your
Yeah,
number? Okay.
my phone number is 504-756-5250, and my email address is Tasha, TOSHA, at tashamills.com.
Think Tosha, even though it's pronounced Tasha.
I got several people calling me, trying to call in. Is the phone line? Is the phone lines up?
I didn't see any phones.
Yeah, they
like
texted
phones,
me
so that-
about it. Okay.
I see Cliff responded, and I know we're a couple of minutes out, so let me just see if we can take one caller, because I don't see any.
I don't think anybody's on. They said they
And there
couldn't
was
get
nobody
in.
on here. Let me just see if I can.
All right.
No, yeah, but I didn't see any callers today.
All right.
I was like,
Well-
that was kind of odd. Real quick, in case and maybe if we were able to squeeze one caller in, just wanted to let you all know about a couple of things that are coming up for Acclivus. We've got Play Streets in North Lawndale. Our last two are this month. Happy August. I forgot this is the first day of August. We've got August 8th at 21st and Pulaski on the west end of it, and then August 22nd on the east side of Pulaski at 21st Street. We got our back to school annual, I don't know, is it annual? I'm calling it annual.
Well, it's annual
It's
back to
annual
school.
now.
It's an annual with Acclivus,
Yeah,
but I mean, it's coming up on Saturday the 24th.
Sunday.
Well,
Sunday,
Sunday, August 24th.
23rd.
23rd.
Yes.
It's the weather.
Yeah.
It's the weather.
But yeah, look, and maybe the age too. But no.
Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
might be a
so
mix
back
of
to
the two.
school, free haircuts, and so we're going to be doing that at about 7 or 8 barbershops across the city, including North Lawndale, Harvey, across pretty much the low end, I think,
Yeah.
for the most part, maybe in the Roseland community. But we've got barbershops, and so you can visit our website and learn a little bit more about that. And then we've got a community fun day planned for the following Saturday, August 29th at Washington Park. Trying to see if we can squeeze one caller in right quick. Let me see. Good morning, you're on with the Acclivus Hour. Hello.
I was going to ask Obadeli, and you say you have a documentary, and I'm sorry to hear that people go through such things. But where's the programs, Obadeli, for the victims?
For the who?
For the victims?
The victims of crime.
Yeah, victims of crime. We don't have programs for victims of crimes. I think that the best thing that we can do for victims of crime who may feel some type of way, we send them to behavioral health. They'll get some therapy to kind of walk them through it. I don't. Why would there need to
And you know where I'm coming from. Because
I kind of know where you're coming from, sir. You're kind of conservative, and listen, let me be clear with you.
Well, what does it make difference? I'm a United States citizen, a human being.
And I will say
Thank
to
you,
you,
Obadeli. I'll
Bianchi-
talk to you later.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you. And I would just add this. I think you have to look at this is not a show to number one condone any terrorist behavior or behavior, right? I think we use a public health approach. So everyone has to be involved. We also have a man on here who did not commit a crime at 14 years old.
He's a victim.
Right? And who's a victim of this justice system. And I contend even some folks who have been forced, and Bianchi, I would encourage you to read The New Jim Crow that was written by a former prosecutor who talked about how this justice system have targeted young people. Again, when you look at the levels of disinvestment in our communities, again, I'm not condoning anyone's bad behavior. Some of our people are forced into criminality, and the charges are too severe. So I can
Let-
go on in tonight
Let me
about the
just see, and I
conversation.
know, let me just see if we can squeeze in a couple of callers since we just didn't get them to just now. Israel, good morning. You're on real quickly with the Acclivus Hour.
Yeah, I said King Israel. I was just calling in to make sure y'all phone was working. I heard y'all.
Thank
So
you.
over Delhi. I'm a human being too, over Delhi. I'm just giving him a hard time.
Thanks, Israel. Thank you for
I
calling
love
in.
y'all.
Okay, love you too. Last caller, good morning. You're on with the Acclivus Hour. Nope.
I think
okay,
that's
nope,
it. So
Okay,
we got to
all right.
wrap up with our guests.
right.
Why don't you, again, tell us where we can catch the movie, and hopefully we'll be in touch and try to, maybe we'll do this at the Harold Washington Culture Center. I have a showing locally here where people can access and get it from Chicago.
I'll
I
be
think
here.
this is very important. Marielle did just reach out to me, so I'm going to share your information with her. I think it's important to have voices of mothers or family members in general who are going through this space with the criminal justice system. I know this is not an easy pill for many people to swallow. I get it. But just tell us again how we can see your movie.
Sure, you can see it today at Cantini Park, 151 Winfield Road in Wheaton, Illinois. It starts at 10 o'clock this morning. My viewing is at 1 o'clock today, and it ends at 5. It's nothing but social justice films. Also tomorrow from 10 till 5. We come on at noon today. Noon on Sunday. So you can see it there. It's nothing but social justice films.
Yeah.
So people really need to come out if they're doing the work in this space because it's really, really, really important.
John, you want to add something?
Yes, I want to add this here. I'm not no victim. I'm a survivor.
Okay,
You a survivor.
good point.
You a survivor. We all survivors of this madness that we done been through. And I hope we have one thing in common. We have the power of love. And together we can make a change as long as you all are doing this show and you invite the people like us on it, then it only uplifts the listeners, some of them. Hopefully it touched the right ones. And there's some young people that's listening who just want to hear that we care. That's what you always say. And we love you, and love will be the weapon that we use.
Thank you so
I
much.
promised
Thank
that I
you.
wasn't going to have any arguments this morning, but I guess that we're not going to quick.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. This is a great show, and I mean they all are great shows, but this is really good information. We are going to kind of wrap it up, and so we want to again thank Johnny and Tasha and Christopher for joining us today. Thank you for the folks who tried to call in and just got in just now. Thank you for everybody who made a comment online. If you or your organization would like to join us in studio to talk about how you support violence prevention work, you can always email us at communications@acclivusinc.org. But in the meantime, on behalf of LaVon Stone Sr. and our board of directors,
Peace and great things. We out of here.
have a good one.
Thank you.